Hello, and welcome to Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence.
And I'm Meg Hofdahl.
And today we're talking about The Fly. Meg, do you remember seeing this movie when you were little? Did you see it when you were little?
Yeah. It explains a lot, I know.
Yeah. I saw it when I was little. Like, my dad rented it on VHS. I mean, your dad probably did too. And, like, I watched it and I was probably too young. I mean, this is, like, probably my introduction to body horror.
Oh, yeah. And I think we've talked about, like, body horror is not necessarily our, like, favorite subgenre. But, God, I love this movie. And can I say, I've complained in the past, like, when we talked about Bram Stoker's Dracula, I remember being like, oh my God, they're just trying to like sell sex to me. They're trying to make it sexy. This movie is sexy. I feel the sex. Like, it's so sexy.
It is. No, it's done the right way. So let me give you some facts. This one came out in 1986. It's 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. David Cronenberg, of course, directed it. It had a budget of $9 million. It made $60 million at the box office. And the imagery during the credits, looking like a swarm, like they just got me. They got me in. They pulled me in.
I love this movie so much. I think it's my favorite. And again, this isn't always my favorite subgenre either, but it's definitely my favorite, I think, sci-fi horror movie. I love it so much. And I think what I love about it, the body horror is great. I love the gore and all that, but the performances are so good in it. And it just, I don't know, it's such a treat. I wish I could articulate more why I love it, but it just feels like this 1980s capsule of wonderfulness.
I agree. Oh, did you know some of the actors up for this part, Jeff Goldblum is golden, perfect, but some of the actors up for this part, John Lithgow, can you imagine?
I don't think it would be as sexy.
No, like I just think of Harry and the Hendersons, and I love John Lithgow, but you know, he's not the Fly.
He's good. I mean, I can see him as like the egghead scientist, but you needed like the other aspects. I don't know.
Someone else up for the part, Michael Keaton.
That could be sexy.
I think he could have worked. Speaking of which, in Beetlejuice, they do where he's eating the fly and the help me. That Vincent Price in the original, he said that, and then Michael Keaton, which it's ironic he was up for it, and that's that whole fly eating scene in Beetlejuice.
Yes, and so The Fly, the original Fly, is also a really good movie, and I watched it several years ago with Dexter, and I thought it was a good, like, starter. He was maybe 5 or 6 at the time, and I felt like it was a good horror movie for that age, the first movie, because it was like, I grew up because of my brother appreciating, and my parents appreciating, like, old black and white movies, and it's something that I really want to instill in my kids, but it's hard in this day and age. And so I feel like if you are looking to do that, I feel like The First Fly is a good movie to do that. Have you seen that movie?
Oh yes, I used to have it on VHS. I used to have a Vincent Price collection. So yes, I agree. That is a great starter.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and like the whole concept of it, and like the fly in that movie is, of course, like, it's nowhere near like the fly in this movie. I wish there were Dexter's really into science and chemistry and stuff, so I feel like he would like aspects of this movie, but it's not appropriate.
The last actor that I read was up for this role was Richard Dreyfuss. Again, he wouldn't have brought the sex.
No, I needed the sex. No, this movie is just so sexy. I'm going to say it a million times. I think part of it, I don't know if this is really true, but because Geena Davis and Jeff Goldblum, I think, are together in real life at this point, I think they just brought that, like, real heat, and you just, like, feel it, and it's just like, whoa.
It is the real chemistry, and it's true. And, like, they say, and I believe it, you know, sometimes you can tell when actors really do have chemistry, and sometimes they do fall in love on set. Sometimes they act on it off the set. Sometimes they don't. But when there's chemistry, you feel it. So they were together at this time. 2 other actresses who are well known were up for the role, but Geena Davis got it, I think, because of the chemistry. Jennifer Jason Leigh and Laura Dern.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I can see both of them. I mean, they were big at that time, but Geena Davis, can I just say she's a queen?
Yeah.
She's a queen. She's in this movie. She's in Beetlejuice. She's in many other wonderful movies. And then she's like changing the world with her Gina Davis. What's it called? Foundation, basically. But she's just a queen. And I love her in this. And I just feel like we should all be more like Gina Davis. And we should all be more like her character in the movie, because I feel like she's just this indefatigable journalist. And I want to be more like her.
Yeah, she's great. One of the moments in this movie that always stuck in my memory, and when I think of The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, I think of that gymnastics part when he's doing like the tricks. That always stuck out to me.
When he's like, he's not fully a fly yet, and he's like, yeah, I could totally see that. For me, since I did watch it when I was young, I think the things that stuck with me were like the profoundly disturbing, his teeth falling out,
The fingernails,
and like just the whole, and I think for the 80s and everything, I think it looks pretty damn good. I mean, I know it's not perfect, but a lot of the actual, and again, because it's not visual effects, a lot of it was like actual made, costume or whatever. What do you call it? Practical effects. They're good. And Jeff Goldblum sold it.
Absolutely. Oh, another part that really grossed me out is when he was regurgitating up into like onto the food. Lord help me, because I don't even know. I mean, it's just so gross. It's so gross, but wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of has like a comic element to it too, but then you have to like, it's funny, but then you're like thinking of it from her perspective, and it's like her watching it, and it's, can you imagine? Like, I mean, this is your sexy lover. I wonder how many times I'm going to say sexy during this movie. But and then that's going on. And then she's also, we're going through this whole journey with her, and I love her so much. And she's like, now how am I going to deal with this issue? And it's just, it brings like all these concepts they had in the first movie from the 50s to all these like just moral questions, and again, like going back to like Mary Shelley and like science, and like what are we responsible for when we create, and all, there's just so many, oh my gosh, it's just like it blows your mind on how many avenues you could go down.
So I read this interview with David Cronenberg, and he said that he wanted The Fly to represent any or all terminal diseases and be this metaphor for how we handle aging and death, and how do we handle when their bodies start to break down. Now, he said that, but at the time, audiences really took it as a metaphor for the AIDS epidemic, because that was happening right then. And so people were really reading the subtext into, oh my gosh, like my friends are dying and going through these changes, and how do we handle it? So, I mean, horror is deep, you guys.
It's so profound. No, I can totally like see that. I didn't think about AIDS, but how people treated people with AIDS at that time, where they like thought you couldn't even touch them. I mean, that they were telling health workers like, you can't even be in the room, like it's so bad. And so that makes so much sense, and I can see how there would be an allegory there, because he's sort of like locked away in his house, and whether it's AIDS or a really severe cancer that's been going on a long time or whatever, it is how we treat people in that position. It's like, well, we don't want to see them. We were talking about the difference a long time ago about like in American culture how we treat people who are dying versus other cultures, and we're very much a like put them in a nursing home and throw away the key type of society. So yeah, I mean, he's stuck in his house. I mean, Jeff Goldblum spends pretty much the most of the movie in his apartment, shuttered away,
Oh yeah, it's so good. Speaking of body horror too, like the birth scene, of course, and it's so well done. It sticks in my memory, and yikes.
And like for a moment you're like, wait, is this real? Like, wait, what? And yeah, that is terrifying. And I think any woman in her position would feel the same way, being pregnant with his child. I mean, oh my God, that's terrifying. I mean, that's And isn't it interesting because pregnancy in itself is body horror.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, there you see someone rippling beneath your skin. I mean, there's something unsettling about it. And so, it's not hard to just make it all the more scary.
I agree. Vienna came in when I was watching this movie, and she, like, when he had fully transformed, and she said, "Aw, he's cute." So she's one of us, Meg.
I agree. Jeff Goldblum is cute. Maybe not when he's fully the Fly, but I'm glad she has empathy for him. I think that's really good. And she doesn't, I mean, that's what we need, right? Is just to, oh my God, I'm flashing thinking about when he's like, he puts the gun to his head. Oh no, I just got sad. That movie just makes me feel things, and not just sexy. Like it makes me feel she just goes through so much, and it's about him, but it's also about her, like maybe even more so, you know?
I know, but did you notice that the climax sort of got stolen from her?
Yep. Yes, I did notice that that a man swooped in there, and I was really annoyed by it. And I think that if they remade it today, they probably wouldn't make that same mistake, I would hope. Yeah, that was a bummer. I hate that.
I know. Okay, so we were watching. Were you watching this episode with me? We've been rewatching Scare Tactics because they are playing on MTV2 or something. So I recorded all of them. Did you see the Fly episode?
I don't think so. Oh wait, yeah, I did. Yes. Oh, that's right. And they put in the turkey at first. Yeah. And then what happened?
Well, okay, so they put in, it was supposedly like this guy had those pods like in the Fly, and he put in a turkey and he's like, "Oh, it's going to be transferred over there." And it was, but it came out severely burned. And then he's like, "You guys need to go in and clean them out." So then he locked them in there, of course. And it's just like obviously like a dryer, it's like a dryer door. And then so he thinks the other guy is burning up and that he's going to burn too. But, it's just a prank.
Well, with Scare Tactics. And P.S. So I told Fox, I'm like, I think you would like Scare Tactics. It's really funny. And so we watched an episode on Netflix the other day, and my kids hated it.
Why?
I don't know. It was like, I'm like, you guys, this is so funny. You're going to love this. Because we were watching, okay, this is random, but Fox loves miniature golf. So there's a show called Holy Moly on like ABC or whatever. And it's kind of like Wipeout meets miniature golf, kind of. And he was hysterical at people falling. Like, like he loved it.
That sounds like a fake show on like a comedy. Like, a half-hour comedy has a fake show that they're watching in the background. That sounds fake, but it's real?
Yeah, it's kind of like Wipeout, but it's like a huge mini golf course. He loves it. It's on ABC, I think. And oh my God, like I've never seen Fox laugh so hard at people falling, which I mean, I love people falling. Who doesn't? So I'm like, I think you love Scare Tactics because it's like pranks. And it was like, you could hear crickets when I showed them Scare Tactics. I know.
What? Well, okay. It's so funny to me. And I mean, it's like a prank show, but it's next level because it's like a horror movie, and seeing these people react, like some people don't react at all. Some people, it's fight or flight. Some people fight, some people flee.
I know. I love seeing all the different ways people react. Like some people are like quiet, some people run, some people throw things. It's so funny. And I'm like, and then I was like, that was a mom fail. Because then I was like laughing. I'm like, you guys, this is funny. And they're just like blink, blink, blink. And I'm like, okay, maybe they just needed like America's Funniest Home Videos. I guess they just like falling.
Oh, that's funny. So yeah, there's all sorts of good episodes. If you haven't watched it lately, there are 2 seasons on Netflix now. So, and the Tracy Morgan, I always want to call him this character, Tracy Morgan.
Yeah, because it's Tracy Jordan.
Tracy Jordan on 30 Rock. But the Tracy Morgan hosted episodes are by far the greatest because he's hilarious.
Yeah, we were laughing at just his like little bits he does.
Like one of them was like, if I had a nickel for every time that happened, I'd have $1.35. It's like, that's funny. Maybe we're old moms now, Meg.
Maybe. Do you find yourself laughing at things? Sometimes I find myself laughing at things that I feel like maybe 10, 15 years ago I wouldn't have. Oh, God.
Yes, we're getting old. It's fine. But also with age comes wisdom, and I would not relive or go back to want to be younger ever.
No, I agree. I like being this age. And speaking of age, Jeff Goldblum's aged like a fine wine.
Oh, Lord.
What is it about Jeff Goldblum? Every woman loves him. There's something about him. He's not traditionally attractive.
Just okay, picture him laying in the Jurassic Park, like with his shirt open. Like, what?
I know. I think he just is really super charming and suave and confident and attractive. He is attractive. It's just like it's hard to describe, but we all love him. Like every woman just has like I think a Jeff Goldblum thing. And it's just like indescribable. I don't know what it is, but he's just and in this movie he's just I don't know. I mean I do like dorks, so I do like the dork aspect of him in this too. I don't know.
I love that he and Gina Davis were together during this movie. It just brings in that other element that it's so good. Okay, what has Jeff Goldblum done lately?
He like had his first child at like 60 or something recently. So I thought that was interesting. But you get it. You get it, Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
He like probably got paid way too much money to have like one line in like Jurassic World. Wasn't it like the second Jurassic World or something? He like barely was in. I bet he got paid so much money. Oh, and he's funny on Portlandia. He's funny in that. What else?
I can't think. I mean, he must be in something because I just saw him tweet the other day. I mean, he's tweeting. We better look this up. But no,
Do you see my phone?
no. But I love him. I think he is charming and wonderful. Um,
You keep talking.
yeah. So the original Fly with Vincent Price came out in 1958, and Vincent Price, let me tell you, speaking of icons and aging like fine wine, like that man, I mean, he could do no wrong in my eyes. And all of these things that have come out about him posthumously, like he was supportive of the LGBTQ community, and he was so wonderful, like his cookbooks and oh, Vincent Price, I love you.
It's interesting that his character really isn't in the remake because he's not the scientist. Like, so it's kind of interesting how they changed the plot a little bit. Okay, I'm looking at Jeff Goldblum's all his filmography. He was in he played God in that series Happy. Not a lot. He's doing a lot of like what's that Isle of Dogs guy? Is it Wes Anderson? He's done a lot of those. Yeah, like Portlandia is one of his most recent things. Hotel Artemis, is that Wes what's his face? All right. Well, this was really informative, guys. Aren't you glad I'm telling you about this? You know what? He doesn't need to do anything. Oh, he was in Thor Ragnarok. That was good.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. He is in the MCU.
Yeah, so there. So he gets to do these little things and get paid a ton of money and then go have a nice life, as he should.
Yeah, he's living his best life. I'm all for that. What else do you want to say about The Fly? Oh, speaking of David Cronenberg and body horror, the Soska sisters are remaking Rabid, or they've remade it. And they got banned earlier in the summer, from Twitter for promoting their movie because the special effects are so good that it was deemed inappropriate. But they got back on Twitter. And have you seen David Cronenberg's Rabid?
No, have you?
I haven't, so I'm excited. I will watch their version and then I'll go back and watch the original, I think.
Yeah, I wonder, it's one of those things, I don't know what order I should do it in, but yeah, that will be really cool. I hope it gets like, do you think it's going to get like a wide release and everything or what?
I don't know. I'm curious to find out, but that will be interesting to follow. And what was the other one? The other David Cronenberg I just watched. I can't remember. It was on Shudder, but the one with the twins. Do you know what I mean? What is that one?
I'm looking it up now.
Okay, so a filmmaker told me that was her favorite horror movie of all time, and that inspired her to become a director. And so I was like, okay, I have to go. Yeah, Dead Ringers. So I had to go and watch that immediately.
And it was good? I've never seen that either.
It was good. Yeah, it was on Shudder, so you'll have to check it out at some point. But
It's
yeah.
not on there anymore?
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying it was a while ago now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at David Cronenberg right now. I'm not
Yeah, tell me what else he's done.
I'm definitely not an expert on him. I'm going back a little bit. Oh, he did The Dead Zone, but that's not one of my favorite Stephen King. Videodrome, Scanners. I haven't seen any of these. Sorry, guys. The Brood. Have you seen any of these?
Yeah.
Which ones do you like?
So I remember. I mean, I also am not like a huge fan, but I've seen Videodrome and Scanners, and
Brood?
I haven't seen The Brood.
That's kind of familiar to me. A History of Violence. I saw that. I didn't realize that was him. I remember I didn't like that one.
Oh, Eastern Promises. I saw that. I remember it got such good reviews.
Well, I mean, I definitely don't come to me for your David Cronenberg questions, but I am intrigued though because I love The Fly so much. I feel like I should learn more about him, and I know that the Soska sisters are huge fans, and I'm a Canuck. And if I am any sort of like Canadian, I feel like I need to support David Cronenberg. So I need to get my act together.
There you go. So yeah, I would say watch Dead Ringers because it's a very interesting premise and body horror again. I mean, I think if you know that going into it, even if it's not your favorite.
It says on the IMDb he's the king of venereal horror. Your face. I mean, what a moniker to live up to. The king of venereal horror. So I really do need to watch more of his stuff.
Let's rank The Fly on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being you hated it, 10 being you think that this is a perfect movie. What should our scale be?
What is he eating when he like regurgitates? What is it? I can't remember.
I can't remember either, but
is he eating a little like sugar and stuff because he's like a fly? I don't know. I think they're like donuts, like those little donuts or something. How about regurgitated Jeff Goldblum food?
yeah, whatever he regurgitated. Oh God. Okay, how many do you give The Fly?
I give it a 10. I watched it when I was in a hotel and I had my kids there, my in-laws, like all my in-laws, and I had this moment of I got a moment to myself, and watching The Fly and just having a beer by myself was like the highlight of the weekend. I probably shouldn't say that. It was so good. It was better than I remembered. I love it so much. I give it 10.
I'm giving it a 10 out of a 10 as well because this, again, it brought back those memories of childhood and like we've talked about before on the podcast, watching horror felt like and still sometimes feels like a stolen moment. It's like I shouldn't be watching this, but I get to. And like you said, you got to watch it just for that moment away, and it was just like, ooh, this is such a treat. Is that the wrong way to look at it? I don't know.
No, I mean, I think that's why we love each other and why we like can be partners and everything, because it's like I know that feeling. I love horror so much, and you're right. That's such a good. It made me smile because it's such a good way to describe it. It's just it feels like you shouldn't be doing this, and I guess we both have a little bit of rebellious spirit.
So Jeff Goldblum doing his, I know it was like a double, but like doing his little gymnastic flips, I'm just like, that's my future husband. He's tall, he's dark, and he's handsome. He's a little bit of a dork, and he's a monster, but I love him.
Yes, I mean, maybe there's something comforting. I'm going to get deep here. Maybe there's something comforting to us as women if the monster is on the outside of them. Because then it's like, here he is in all his flaws. Here's Frankenstein's monster and all his flaws, or whoever. Maybe we like seeing those flaws on the outside because the monsters that we're not attracted to often are the ones that keep it inside, and it's creepy and scary and like Hannibal Lecter or something, where he's an intellectual but he's hiding it. And so,
Or Ted Bundy, who some people would say is attractive, yet he's not.
right, exactly, and he's not. So I don't know, maybe there's something comforting about seeing the fly parts of him. Maybe it makes us feel less worried about our own issues. Maybe if like Luke was losing his teeth and his fingernails, maybe I'd feel better about my body.
The real body horror is, coming to terms with our own self-reflection. Just kidding. No, you know what? I think we're pretty body positive people.
We are really body positive. Whether you're a fly, whether you have like sort of morphed into the fly pod, we support you and we love you.
Yes, I've always loved the monster. And like I said, I think kindergarten, I was rooting for King Kong to be with Fay Wray. I know that doesn't make sense, but I love a good monster.
Maybe we're just trying to fix them all. Maybe it's like that female thing. I don't know. Oh no. We have another book on the way now about this.
This is like pop psychology too. It's like where people are going to write papers on episodes like this is what's wrong with them.
Yeah. They love monsters. What happened in their childhood? We watched The Fly when we were too young. That's what happened.
Oh, Jeff Goldblum. Okay, so whatever you're doing, I hope. Oh, you know what? Just speaking of flies are, they're okay. They're obnoxious. But when there's an abundance of flies for no discernible reason, like we used to get flies upstairs in our house because of where the windows were or something. And it always made me think of Amityville Horror, and I don't like it.
Yeah, flies on their own are not necessarily terrifying. It's kind of like the whole concept of a bird too. You see a bird outside, it's like, well, whatever. You see a fly outside, whatever. But maybe it's the fact that they are all around us all the time that sort of makes them terrifying, because it's like then if they decide they want to be assholes, like they can decide that and they can crawl in your ear, or a million of them can like fly into your room if they wanted to, because they're all around us. That's sort of really scary. It's like we're lulled into a sense of security, but like they are. And then when you think about what they really look like when you really microscope down and see their ugly ass faces, it's scary.
And then there's those biting flies like deer flies or horse flies or whatever, and they're assholes.
Yeah, they are assholes. So I don't know. Dexter has been telling me about some moth that doesn't have a mouth because it's only alive for like a day. And like just insects, no wonder they're explored so much in horror movies, because it's not okay. They are disgusting, and I know people like to have pet tarantulas and all that, and good for you, but I don't want anything to do with any bugs. I'm sorry.
Well, on that note, picture like a Mothman who doesn't have a mouth. Like, how about the Mothman?
I don't want to think about the Mothman.
Like, what if we saw the Mothman outside your window right now?
I was just thinking that we're not being body positive to bugs.
Wait, do we have to be body positive to bugs too? Like,
no, because they don't have feelings. So we can just say they look disgusting. They don't know. We said it.
I asked a friend of mine who was a vegetarian for many years once, like, why do you eat fish? And she said, because they don't have souls.
Luke's told me that fish don't have feelings, like actual like sensation feelings, and I'm just gonna use that as why I eat fish, but who knows if that's really true. How would we know that, really?
Oh, boy. I don't eat fish, but it's because my dad was allergic and I never got a taste for it. But I told him once, if you have to be allergic to something, be glad it's seafood, because I don't think seafood's that great, but a lot of people would beg to differ. And then one time I told that to someone, and I said, it's not like he's allergic to chocolate. That would be the worst. And then she was like, I'm allergic to chocolate.
Foot in mouth. Yeah, like I've recently figured out that I'm allergic to pineapple, and it's annoying, but there are so many worse things I could be allergic to. Like pineapple, it's like, oh, that kind of sucks. But chocolate, I don't want to use the word suicide.
My sister-in-law, hi Beth, She would used to eat pineapple and then like her mouth would start closing up or her throat or whatever. And she's just like, but I love it. And it's like, yeah, but you're going to die.
Yeah, I've gotten to that point where there are a couple times where I'm like, I'm still going to have it. And then now I'm just to that point where I'm like, no. Because I even ate something that touched a pineapple recently and I got all itchy and everything. Yeah. So it's just not worth it. But I miss pineapples. I kind of wish I'd never tasted one. Maybe that'd be better.
You know, I started decorating our dining room with pineapple accents because I went to a tour of the Glensheen Mansion where the famous Congdon murder occurred. And there were pineapples on the guest bedroom, like bed, and they said it's a sign of welcome. And then when you're ready for your guests to leave, you turn the pineapple upside down, and then the guest knows that they're not welcome anymore. And I thought that was really funny. So I've been decorating with pineapples.
Now I'm like thinking back to when the pineapples are turned when I'm there.
You just come over and everything's upside down. It's like, oh my, that's kind of creepy.
That is actually kind of creepy. See, it's those things that are just a little left of center. Or, in the case of this movie, things that are really extreme.
We hope that your pineapples aren't upside down because you have terrible guests, listeners. And we hope that you can eat pineapple. I'm sorry, Meg.
It's okay. You know, I'm coping.
But
I'll get through it. At least my husband isn't a fly.
we have that going for us. Until next time, we'll see you in the horror section.
Bye.